Great question. Spiritual bypassing is a term that was coined by John Welwood. He was a therapist in the 1980s, and he was also a practicing Buddhist. And he was noticing in his Buddhist Sangha that people were using spirituality in order to not feel feelings that they didn't want to feel. This happens all over the religious world, but also outside of religion. So in religion, it looks like thought-ending cliches like, this is part of God's plan. Or prayer can be a form of spiritual bypassing, where if you feel something, you can say a prayer rather than actually feel the amount of suffering in the world. You say a prayer, you feel like you did something so you can go on with your day. Saying that, whenever there's contention or icky feelings, it's Satan, so we don't do that, right? That's spiritual bypassing. Saying, this religion works for me, and kind of shutting out others is a way of not hearing other people's stories so that you don't have to feel their pain. But spiritual bypassing also happens outside of religion. Horoscopes is a place rampant with spiritual bypassing, because it isn't you being forgetful or being an ass, it's the planets, right? Or people can use psychedelics, which I've talked about many times on my podcast, and the spiritual awakening that's happening with psychedelics. But people can also use psychedelics to escape the world and their real life problems. The spirit guide bypass. These are all terms that have been studied. The spirit guide bypass is when we use spirit guides to help us make 100% of our decisions so that we don't have to face those feelings of uncertainty and those fears that we're going to choose wrong. Following a guru outside of religion and gurus come in many shapes and forms, can be a spiritual bypass where you don't have to think anymore. You can just put it all on the guru. Good vibes only is a huge spiritual bypass that happens kind of in the woo world outside of religion, where good vibes only, and that's a way to just repress emotions that you don't want to feel. So whether you are inside religion or outside religion, watch out for spiritual bypassing, and check out my podcast at Almost Awakened, where we talk all things secular spirituality and tips for spiritual health.